Hello, hello. This is VP on the radio, and you are listening to Time TNL. That is powered by Do Work Media. I'm your host, VP, and you can follow me at _ call me VP on both Twitter and IG. I'm solo dolo for this interview, but that's all right. Shout out to the team, DJ Scrib and TBA. Those guys are awesome, and you should always, always, always think of them when you think of Time TNL. Now, I'm here in the studio with a guy who drops more mics than you can imagine, DJs in more places than you can be. And I really think he's cloned himself because sometimes there's just no way that he's doing everything that he's doing. Ladies and gentlemen, DJ Mike Tech.
Yo, what's
the
good? Yeah, I like that introduction, man.
You know.
Like, man, Steve Harvey, look out. Like, dang, man.
You gotta take notes from people like that.
You know, my bad, not Steve Harvey, MC Light, look out. I'm
There
trying
you
to think
go,
of the
there you go.
female equivalent right
There
now.
you go, yeah.
Yeah, look out, MC Light. That was dope. What's going on, VP? It's been a minute.
It's been a while. But you know, though it's been a while, we've been working in between, so it's all good. As long as there's work occurring, that's all that matters.
I understand that.
Gotta have something to talk about when you meet up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We gonna hit it. It's so funny you said before we got on, you were gonna try to keep it at 45 minutes. I'm like, nah, we about to smash that, yo.
I said I'm gonna try. Every single time I'm doing one of these interviews, like I'm like, okay, VP, 30 minutes. Then 30 minutes come like, oh, okay, 45, and then I'm like, oh, you know what, just whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. There's just so much I want to know, and even at the end of that hour, I'm still like, dang, like there's more that I wanted to.
How about we just call this part one?
Part one.
There you go. Return of the Mac.
Return of the Mac. Return of the mic.
Yeah, return of the mic.
Yeah. So, Mike Tech, what you've been up to so much, man? You've been you're a DJ here, and you grew up in Charleston.
Yeah, born and raised.
Yeah, you're born and raised. So, like one of the biggest things about Mike Tech, if you don't know Mike Tech, is he definitely has a story about him and his mom every single time, and they're always hilarious. So that I always, he grew up in Charleston, and I want to know first, like, what got you into DJing?
Speaking of my mom, my mom was an evangelist in the early 80s.
Mm-hmm.
For those who don't know, in the Pentecostal Holiness Church, she basically is one step below a preacher.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she basically was the preacher, in several situations in church, and just the way she commanded the crowd. And I got attached to the music part of that. Started playing drums and just watching her. Basically, it's entertainment. Just watching it. And I'm not saying that Christianity or church is entertainment. It is in a certain in a certain realm. It is. But I always loved music. It was something that I wanted to gravitate to. I mean, I wanted to be a DJ since the mid '90s, and just
that's a good time to be inspired to be a DJ.
Yeah, exactly. There was a local record store here in the local North Charleston area called Local Records, and it was it doubled as a music and a clothing store. So you would go in there and get like the jumpers and the ULVs. I'm dating myself here.
Yeah.
Running Rebel hats. That's when Tupac was rocking it.
Awesome.
Things like that, and the Triple Fat Goose and things like that. But they would have, speakers and turntables and a live DJ always in there and playing music, and that's kind of how I got introduced to it as a dancer first, and then because I always loved to dance, and then it just kind of transitioned into me wanting to DJ, versus me wanting to do anything else. So
yeah. That's I think that it's always fun to hear how people became interested in what like their craft, especially when they're really good at it. You know, and you wonder if you thought about those times when you first started off, that if you would be doing all these things. Did you ever think that?
I think for some people, and I know we were talking about this a little bit off air, about changing careers and things like that. I think some people just gravitate to the occupation that they want. I know for me, I'm very eclectic in music. When I'm doing weddings, I always tell, especially when it's with people of other backgrounds and minorities and things like that, I always say I can play John Wayne to Little Wayne.
Right.
So growing up in the 80s and 90s.
That's a good line.
Yeah, exactly. So growing up in the 80s and 90s, you were exposed to a lot of good music. And I tell people, regardless of the genre, good music is good music.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell when a record is really made from the soul versus somebody just trying to get stuff out, and there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's just I was just exposed to so many genres of music, and I loved it all. It was just natural for me to try to gravitate towards, anything that I love to do, which was being creative, dancing, and music. So kind of like the essence of hip hop. When people talk about the three pillars of hip hop, or four, depending on if you're a graffiti artist. But I know for me, definitely that whole 3 or 4 pillars of hip hop really inspired me because I love to dance. I wasn't an MC, but I loved to DJ, and everybody wanted to be a rapper at some point. So it was Big Mike. I remember my first rhyme, and I was like, yeah, maybe rapping ain't for me.
What was your first rhyme? You still remember it?
I remember part of it. This is in Burger King. That you can't have it your way. Mike Tech is the man, and I'm not Dre Day. You know what I'm saying? It was just kind of like, back when the 808 was the cafeteria table at school. You know what I'm saying?
That's
so
right. That's
that's kind of how that was.
I always love hearing those initial bars.
Oh yeah,
love it. Absolutely.
I'm not Shia LaBeouf or nothing right now.
What?
Did you see
Shia
that?
Killed.
Yo, for anybody who didn't think he killed that,
death, right?
for anybody who think he didn't kill that because he was a little off time, like you have no idea.
That does not. First off,
you could tell he was reaching and it was real spit.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you could see him really like he was trying to think, and like he was doing a legitimate like off the top.
Yeah.
Like he's trying to pull and say, okay, all right, I got what am I gonna say next? And
I try to tell people that, and that's a spoiler alert, for people who don't know. Like if a real freestyle MC will never be completely on time of the beat because they're reaching.
Right.
If they're in sync, in tune completely,
right,
they already rewritten it.
They done rehearse something.
And then they just they leveled it out to the track.
Yeah, and to me, it's about how you get yourself back up onto the beat.
Yeah, exactly.
Like if you realize that he did that several times, where he was like, he kind of was he realized he was kind of off time.
Yeah,
so
he
tried to make sure he
brought it back. Yeah,
but he was saying some stuff that was like
blew my mind.
Come on, man.
Blew my mind. He got Missy tattooed on his knees. That
blew
my mind.
Yeah,
I was
exactly. He got Tupac, Biggie, and Missy.
Yeah, exactly.
He did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out to Shia LaBeouf. That was, but he always had some he's always had an interest in hip hop.
Yeah.
And I remember when he was on Disney Channel.
Even Stevens, for real. That's what I was thinking.
When they did the soundtrack for that movie Holes.
Yeah,
that he did.
I remember that.
He was
they
rapping
had the song.
on that.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. I remember that.
It was awesome.
Shout out to my man too. I forgot the little light skinned kid and the little mixed kid in the movie.
Zero. Well, his character's name was Zero.
Yeah, the skinny dude. My homeboy Cy Phoenix is a graphic. They first cousins. I've seen.
That's cool. Yeah, didn't he go for a music career?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so shout out to him real quick. But yeah, going back to the topic, it was just I think some people are really gravitated to what they want to do.
Yeah.
I think one of the best decisions I've made recently is to quit day job life and just focus on the entertainment aspect of DJing and building a brand. And, this is something that people struggle with everyday people, day in and day out. Some people are not built for it, VP.
Mm-hmm,
so my suggestion would be not, if your heart ain't 100% in it, then continue to be safe.
Yeah.
But if you feel yourself always hating your job and you don't like what you're doing, and there is a passion that you want to do, do it. I think one of the biggest things I've learned in the last, if I would go back, and how people go, if you had a time machine, would you tell yourself? I would tell myself, when I was in high school, continue to focus on, go to school, get your education, the whole nine, get the base, and just continue to focus on your dream or your passion. Because I wasted so many years trying to conform to what society or what my mom thought, or what we have this concept of what being successful is.
That's right.
And a guy can be making $100,000 and be miserable, be working
completely miserable.
Exactly, working 90, 100 hours a week, and have nothing to show for it other than the fact that he's making somebody else rich.
Yeah, that's
he's making money, but it's not really his money.
He doesn't know where to put the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's just all a lot of times just into materialistic things that still aren't helping the pursuit of the happiness.
Yeah,
Per se.
exactly.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things that I'm my own boss now. I'm licensed, I'm bonded, I'm insured. It all costs money. It's an investment.
Absolutely.
It takes a toll on you, not only financially, but I guess spiritually and mentally, because there will be some lean days where you eating, oodles and noodles.
That's right. Yeah, yeah.
And
right.
Running the McDonald's, not McDonald's food line and getting the 99-cent noodles and
yeah.
a lot of peanut butter and jelly days, and it's doubly hard because I'm a parent. So
right.
I'm always kind of trying to have that work-life balance,
Yeah.
and I know I couldn't have that DJing and doing what I'm doing, and then also having a day job and also being a single father.
Yeah.
Full time. Not this ain't part time. My kids live with me.
That's right. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very important. Man, see that's a lot of people think about that in terms of, if they have children, like what, because you're thinking about your children, making sure that they have what they need. And I know how a lot of people, they kind of have those concerns as well.
Yeah, and I always say to people, you have to make yourself happy first before anybody else.
Yeah.
And I know, and people, it may sound selfish off the surface, but I don't want to be one of those parents that drive their kids into the fucking ocean or the lake or, end up, there was this chick in Texas who just offed her 2 kids because she mentally, ain't there, and
right.
whatever you're dealing with on a daily basis with your occupation that you don't like, that's a carryover into your personal life.
Right.
And one of the things I did learn from the multi-million-dollar company that I left was like work-life balance, and the key is balance. Now, if you have a job that you don't like and you bring a lot of it's a lot of negative, and it could be some good parts, but let's just say you work at a 9 to 5 that, right above minimum wage, you're only making like $10, $11 an hour, you're only making like $24K a year, something like that.
Yeah.
And you're already not happy because you're not, that's really no money to support a family. Hell, you can barely support yourself.
Yeah.
So you already mentally at work, you're not there. And then so when you go home, if you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a wife or husband or parents or children, you already bring in that environment, that negative aspect into your house.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, there's a lot of, how many people, you have parents both in the military and off, and I remember many days my mom just being in a bad mood, coming home from work.
Oh, yeah,
and it affect the entire vibe of the house,
Absolutely.
So
absolutely. That's a good point, yeah.
And that's the real reason why people should really do what they want. Do we need Burger King workers? We do. That's, me and you love McGriddles. Do we need somebody, manning that drive-through at 3 o'clock in the morning?
Right.
You do, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, I always go back to those people. There are only 2 type of people in the world, VP. Those are people who can and people who can't.
Yeah.
And both people are right. You know what I'm saying? Which is real deep when you think about it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So for the people who can't do it, they can't.
Yeah.
For whatever circumstances that they have, either because they can't do it or they want to do it, it doesn't happen. And you got people who can do it, and they also are right. So I always try to advise people now. I'm definitely on this. Be your own boss.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's no much satisfaction. I can make $40K this year, and I'm totally happy because it's all my money.
Yeah.
And it's basically the responsibility of myself if I want to make more money. Outside of paying Uncle Sam, of course.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Uncle Sam will make sure that he gets his money. I find that to be a concept that a lot of people are gravitating to, and a lot of them are gravitating towards kind of like self-employment, but not recognizing the amount of work, consistent work that it takes, and I think that when people take that into consideration, they should really do some research, especially if they're in a place of like they're comfortable, because being self-employed, you're going to have a lot of times where you are uncomfortable, you know, and you have to think about it in terms of there are people if you're working a job right now and you're not the manager or something like that, you say you're just an employee. Um, you don't have to deal with the things that the manager has to deal with. The manager doesn't have to deal with the things that higher up and higher up and higher up. But when you're self-employed, you got to deal with all of those
All of it.
things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's overwhelming for people because they're like, well, why is it so difficult to find to get somebody to be to be my to buy my product? Well, have you ever been a salesperson? No, you've only been one type of, and that's why I totally encourage people that if you don't have that kind of concept grasped, that you should work jobs that put you in a bunch of different positions so that you're not blindsided when you become self-employed and you're like, okay, now I've got to be the marketer, the advertiser, the salesperson, the HR, and so forth
and
so
the
forth.
accountant.
And
God,
the accountant.
that is what I hate about you. And shout out to
And
DJ
the
Square
accountant.
about me. I have an app on my phone right now, Quicket Books, and God knows if it wasn't for that app, thank God we live in the age of technology. Because I mean, I would still be under the table because I can't do it. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
Especially for people who are. One of my old producers, and we'll get into this a little bit. Shout out for the DJ Mike Tech album is coming, by the way.
Come on now.
Yeah, it's coming. Yeah,
that's gonna be exciting.
Yeah. I'm not rap. It's more like a DJ Khaled. Like
like you're
Mars.
bringing it together. Yeah,
that's why we was tripping. But he said the other night we were in the studio. He's like, Mike, you're the front man. Like you have that thing about you. And I was like, yeah. Like I always knew that, and I was just like, the front man don't do payroll, but I mean it's my own business. You know what I'm saying? And so because I run my own business, and I have to show. I want to buy a home, I want to buy property. I just bought my first stocks and things like that.
Awesome.
I have to show that I make this income to support,
that's right.
collecting these things that are worth value.
That's right.
And so I have to sit at the house at the kitchen table at 5 o'clock in the morning and be like, okay, what did I spend?
That's right.
What did I budget on? How much money I'm bringing in versus how much money I'm taking out.
Right.
And you're exactly right. You got to be the accountant, the marketer, the telemarketer, the salesperson.
That's right.
The repair guy.
That's
what I'm
right.
saying?
All of those things.
HR. Basic customer relations.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with customers, and a lot of people don't see that. They see. People, there's a meme that I always like about the iceberg, and you see the iceberg sticking out.
That's right.
And you don't see underneath the struggle,
That's right. And everything that's supporting that iceberg.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And I just can't stress enough about how happy I am being in a spot where I don't have to answer to nobody but myself.
Yeah, absolutely.
And to piggyback off what you just said, there's something. All right, so. And we'll get into this in a little bit. So I also, I'm contracted out for DJing. So I am my own company, but there's an entertainment company that also contracts me like an individual
independent contractor.
And I've learned so much by watching that major company.
Right.
That now I've implemented some of the things that I've learned.
That's right.
So it goes back to what you were saying a minute ago. Like I already thought I was a shit. But then I was like, oh, I'm missing that.
That's right.
I'm missing that. And for example, like I've been doing weddings, and we'll get into that later. Like I got a wedding today, like right after this interview.
Right.
And I started working for the company, and this company has wireless speakers for their ceremony. I never thought to do the sound for the ceremony. So I was thinking now I'm missing out on revenue because I'm just thinking about reception and not thinking that most people have 90% of people now have the reception and the ceremony in the same spot.
In the same place. That's right.
And it's like, motherfuckers out here making money just setting up ceremony.
That's right.
For mics and that. So I invested, my money into getting me a ceremony set up.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And lighting. So now my income for a wedding can double versus what I've normally
You've got more to offer.
Yeah, that $500 wedding or $400 wedding now becomes $800 or $1,000 wedding because now you have more services to offer. Eventually that probably would have came to me, but I wouldn't have known if I wasn't around people who are like-minded and doing,
you have to expose yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, anything that I'm a firm believer that anything that you really want to learn, you should go for those types of positions because like for instance I work at Cumulus Media and I'm a production assistant, and I work on audio all day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I do podcasting. Why wouldn't I? While I'm in this, balancing of like, working for myself and having these other jobs. If I'm going to work other jobs, you best believe it's going to be a job that's going to help me practice my own craft.
Yeah.
So that's I think that's kind of the difference that it makes when you pursue something. Pursue it because you know that there's something here. What is that job going to do for you?
Mm-hmm.
Don't a lot of times we get in these positions where we're acting out of like desperation, and it's
Yeah.
just like have your ideas, sit down and think like, what's my passion, and
Word.
and what can help me.
It's kind of like
that.
if you're a chef, you shouldn't be working at Sears. You know what I'm saying?
You
If
see
you're
what
a
I'm saying?
chef,
Yeah.
then you need to be a line cook. Burger King and McDonald's wouldn't
That's
be
right.
necessarily a bad thing,
Right.
because now you're learning the process of
That's
getting
right.
food out,
That's
which
right.
would help you. When you
That's right.
become a chef, you can go back and access that information
That's right.
or that learning experience. Of being a line cook or or short order cook or working at a Waffle House.
That's right.
And I'd be like, look, I don't hate it. No, like people kind of give that negative taste, like, oh, you work at Waffle House, and I always tell people, those people, like especially the cooks, like they get down, and then they can go from line cook to being a GM,
Right.
GM to owning their own individual Waffle Houses.
That's right.
So, like it is.
And
just because you put a white coat on, you got people to do the same thing. So
that's right.
So that's one of the things that I always look at. If people really enjoying their job.
That's right.
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? So
yeah, and then Waffle House has a huge brand, and if someone doesn't kind of live up to that brand, then they're doing the company like a disservice. Like there's so much you can learn from all these different, like you said, if you want to be a chef, surround yourself with chef things. Surround yourself with cooking like completely. And that's how I feel about approaching these things, especially approaching your passion. Once again, that pursuit of happiness. You've got to surround yourself with all these things. If you know that you like marketing, surround yourself in some kind of marketing position. Like learn the craft. So now you said earlier, entertainment. When you're talking about branding or building your brand, rather, and you said that you dropped the day job to really focus in on like the entertainment portion. What does that all encompass?
First of all, the personality of DJ Mike Tech, and then you have the musical side of DJ Mike Tech, which is the actual DJ, and then you have the creative side as far as like content, the producer side, put it that way, and then you have the dancer side of me, because I still dance, and a lot of people who hire me based off of my personality. So it's continuing to look at things to work on, and shout out to Melanic. She always say, she always think that you always act like you know everything, and I'm like, nah. I mean, I put on that persona like I do, but I don't. I just act like I do.
Right.
It's kind of like back to that self-esteem thing that we talked about back in the day. And so you have these different segments of you that are valuable and can bring commodity to the mass public. So you have, for example, I'll use you, like you have VP the person, and you just as much as a personality as I am, whereas people want to hear you talk and express your opinions. And I was telling Melania this just yesterday. I'm like, you have a segment of the population that will tune into you just to hear your thoughts and opinions, because that part of the population either can't say what you want to say, or just too nervous, or just that's not in their realm.
Right.
And then you have VP, the production person, like you were saying a minute ago. That's another brand. So not only are you working at Cumulus, by the way, they just asked me to come work for them too.
There you go.
So not only that, but you now can market yourself as being a producer for other shows and getting paid to do so.
Right.
So now you got that part of it, and then now you also got, like you was talking about the studio, you have the fashion portion or the clothing portion of that particular brand. So, that it is, having more than one stream of revenue.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Absolutely.
and having more than one stream of content or entertainment. So
Right.
Mike Tech is just not the DJ. And people was telling me I need to drop the DJ Mike Tech and just make it Mike Tech.
Mike Tech. Yeah.
Yeah,
I understand.
because people say you're so much more than a DJ, and I'm like, I feel you. And Mike Tech, I may do that going into the new year. I did look up the patent, so it's coming, by the way. So
Awesome.
But yeah, so you got me, DJ Mike Tech, and then DJ Mike Tech, the musical side of it, and then Mike Tech, the fashion, because I also do clothes, and I have a clothing line coming out called Boyfriend for a Day.
That's
you
awesome.
know what I'm saying? So
that's a great name.
Yeah.
Boyfriend for a Day. What's the concept behind that? I mean, obviously Boyfriend for a Day, but like what?
Yeah, actually the other part of that is Pussy Prevails.
Of course.
Which is pushy, not pussy.
There we go.
I said it that way before, but the concept for Boyfriend of the Day is basically girls call me an asshole all the time, a charming one. So like a lot of the t-shirts have like very not risque but very smart ass little statements.
Yeah.
Like asshole university, the 5-piece not the 5-piece, because we talk about the 5 fingers of death, so it's stuck in my mind.
Shia is all in our
yeah, but I have a t-shirt concept that has the husband, the best friend, the boyfriend, and the side piece. So the guy's version of it is number 1 is wifey, 2 is the side piece, 3 is the best friend, 4 is the cougar, and 5 is like the youngin'. So like it's like your 5 women in life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like it's a real asshole thing to say. But I used to say that, when I was dating, back in the day, I used to tell girls, like, I used to have 5 girls. Like we were dating, like we were just like fucking around. I'd be like, hey, like I talk to 5 other people, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I call it a starting 5. And girls would be like, oh my God, I can't believe you said that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're such a jerk. Like,
but that's that team. That's that, like.
It's the team, exactly.
Bruno Mars has a song called "Calling All My Lovelies."
Yeah, word. Yeah. So
that same concept. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like for all your personality. Like I was telling somebody the other day, they don't get this concept that love is a cycle, beginning, middle, and end. You have certain people that fit certain pieces of your puzzle that other people don't.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I used to tell, I would have 2 older women, 2 younger girls, and like 1 in the middle. Nice balance, nice. You know what I'm saying?
You with your balance.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a Libra. Yeah, exactly. You got to have a nice balance. Like the young ones just up to do anything at any time, ready to go, not really working in life, talking about passion and career. They just down to do whatever.
Right.
They your real ride or die. The older ones are that conversational, let's have a nice steak and a potato. Let's just talk about life and the journey we went through. You know what I'm saying? And then the one person is your age is the ones you can talk about what happened in the 90s and how you were in high school. So there are different little parts to that. So I expressed it on a t-shirt and everybody's like, oh my God, that's so dope. And I'm like, if most men were honest with themselves, and like I said, I made a girl shirt for it too. Like the girl got their main husband, like they're one ride or die. And then they kind of got like this side piece. The one is attractive, and you may not be fucking these people, but if something happened, like you're gonna be the first person that call at 3:00 in the morning. And then you got like your best friend who's in the friend zone. You know what I'm saying? And then you got then a girl. Every woman knows a sugar daddy would, especially post Viagra and Levitra and all these other special things that if you were in a bind, somebody's over 50, that old school money is gonna hook you up. So it goes both ways. So that's the kind of it's kind of the concept of. And it's more T-shirts and things like that.
Yeah, but that's kind of the feel for the rest of
Okay, so that's kind of those are the brand and entertainment of DJ Mike Tech.
Then you also have the podcast.
Or drop the
show,
mic.
Live
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
Yeah.
I was just about to get it. I was more the host entertainer side of that part of it. Yeah, drop the mic. We're doing real big things. We are gonna go studio live here, which is the reason why you saw the intro.
Awesome.
I just think that our show is, and we've had a lot of listeners, and shout out to Miss Milanic, who's my co-host, and we've had a lot of feedback and listeners on SoundCloud and things like that. But now it's time to expand,
of course,
and keeping up with the times and what is trending out here. And people who are some of the best podcasters in the world also have their video content and production quality go with it. So now you have to match. It's more than just shooting it just on the phone, and now it's a full-on production.
That's right.
You know, because the game has changed now with Vimeo and YouTube and all these other streaming video channels. They pay you. You know, the concept of having, the concept of cable is done. I mean, when cable came in, and I was a kid, it changed the 3-channel setup. Then Fox came, and then like the WB and what was the other opposite, UPN. And then they merged it to CW. So I mean, you had the big 6 now, but I mean it's just that's archaic. It's like reading a newspaper now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I see more web shows with more followers than television shows now.
Oh, absolutely.
Because one, you have full creative control.
That's right.
Especially with internet radio and podcasting and things like that. Versus working at Apex or Cumulus, and shout out to the people who do that. But everybody know
that they've got mad restrictions.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things about Drop the Mic, just like the name sound, we can say whatever we want to say.
Right.
So we take that concept and apply it to a bigger scale for people to come and say what you want, and say the things that are uncomfortable, especially with this climate of the world that we're living in now.
Yeah.
Me and Melanic been bumping heads a lot, but I appreciate her difference of opinion. And I always say, change comes from being uncomfortable. Change doesn't happen with being complacent. So going back to the boyfriend for a day shirt, I mean, it's one of those concepts that people have. The more shock value you have, if you're shocked and honest, as you clearly can see, you can make it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So,
people are partial. They're partial to it.
Yeah, exactly. So that was and speaking of media, that's one of the things that, as you can see, you just saw a cultural shift in the way you present yourself, because we have a president-elect that literally went against every conceivable media ethic, law, or theory known in communication, and still won. Yeah. And I tell people the reason why he won is because he campaigned on the same thing Barack Obama did in 2008. He touched into something that was authentic, where Hillary seemed fake, she was fake. Like that Jay-Z thing, that shit irked me because I said something about it on her Facebook.
Right.
She's 70 years old. If she could name 5 Jay-Z records without, matter of fact, 2 Jay-Z records without any of her aides helping her,
right?
I would be impressed. But it almost seemed like she was pandering. Where Trump was kind of like your old grandfather on the porch on Sunday afternoon in the South, and he just firing off shit that you're like, and that's exactly what he did, and speaking on a communications level, he won, you know what I'm saying? And now you're going to have this stream of people that's going to just say whatever the fuck they want to say.
Right. Well, and you could see that trend. He really played into that trend that was for a while, like before, even well before the election, people had gone on this real big campaign like, oh, everybody's so sensitive now, and we can't say anything without somebody getting upset about it or whatever. And Trump was like the poster child for that concept. It's like, oh, everybody just got to stop being so sensitive. You know what I'm saying? And what some of that is rooted in is not, particularly things that I agree on, but it's just like he tapped like you said, and that's the thing about strategy. He tapped into something that was authentic. This is how people feel. Half the country. Like this is that's how they feel about it. You know what I'm saying? So they were able to really kind of create that trust enough for him to get the vote. Yeah, he a hustler. And do I believe he like that? No, I don't believe it. There's enough video and picture evidence that you can clearly see that he is hustling, the Republican base. Hell, I always tell people he's not even Republican. So for the people who voted for him,
just to say they voted Republican is stupid.
Right.
So I was telling people, I'm like, it's a work, and people don't understand that concept. So that term work means, for the old wrestling fans, it is everybody knows wrestling is fake, it's scripted. So when somebody says it's a work, so whatever beef I have with you is just for the camera. So when I say that term work, it's a work or a shoot.
Yeah.
And then the opposite is shoot, and the word shoot means it's legit, it's real. So you put those two words together, which is also again a wrestling term, a work shoot. That's exactly what he was. Like it was a work. Do I think he's that racist? Hell no. You know what I'm saying? Did he pander to his base? Yes. Did I think he said legitimate, true statements about how he feel? Yeah, I do. And as you can see, it worked. And I always tell Melissa, I'm like, you know why people always like me? I like my mom. We call it like I see it. If that's the way he feel, you ain't got no choice to respect that. Like, I mean, if you a racist, do you just when we see me,
right?
Cross the side of the street, be respectful.
Right.
I mean, I knew a lot of people who voted for Trump that I'm still friends with, so to speak. But it's like, I see what you are. As long as you speak and don't run out your way of being ignorant towards me, we good.
I think that's what disturbed a lot of people was some of the revelations that occurred. Like they were like, well, what, you felt like this the whole time? But it's interesting about when a lot of people would say like, oh, I blocked a lot of people off my Facebook it just goes to show, well, you didn't really know these people to begin with. Like I'm not impressed with the Facebook blocking or things like that for a lot of the people that I saw, because I was just like, well, it just stayed true to the fact of how Facebook utilized a term like friends and revamped it into something that is totally culturally it means something different now than what you may have learned when you were younger about what a friend is. Because people are like, man, I just can't believe what I found about people. And I'm like, well, you're also friends with someone that you met one time. You didn't really have a conversation with them other than liking their pictures.
Exactly. Other than being in the club, sharing a drink. Let's be friends. You know what I'm saying? You don't know. Yeah.
You've never had a conversation with them, so you don't really know them. And now you're upset with them because they've stated how they feel about something. But it kind of goes back to the basics of how to identify who people are and understanding their characteristics. And that's the thing about like Trump and a lot of other people, is that here he is just kind of out in the open, and his tactic was to be out in the open per se and say, this is how I feel, and I don't care if people are offended. And then there's this other half of the country and a lot of the people that that feel the same way.
Yeah.
And then you sitting there looking like, how could you? It's like, they've been this way.
Word. It's funny though, because if you flipped it, and look, I wish I was Hillary's campaign manager, because she went about it the whole wrong way. I literally would have been like, you know what, fuck this. You want to talk about Benghazi? Let's talk about it. And I was defending. I was like, look, no motherfuckers signed up for it. They knew what time it was. They assets. And shout out to everybody in the military who served their country. Your father, you have family in the military. But when you sign your name on that dotted line, you become property of the government. You know what I'm saying? Like, you already know what time it is. And I was like, look, talk about it all. Be real. Yeah. And that's where she lost, because she just seemed fake.
This was an election that the person who would win would be who was ever the most honest.
Exactly.
And that's the thing about
who came across the most honest.
Thank you. Exactly. Who came across the most honest? Because the thing about it is that Hillary, and this is what was strange to me, was just that here was Hillary coming from a presidential campaign that was already an administration that was already set in place. So it's kind of like, if you've already had Obama, and then you've got someone who's been working with Obama tries to come and be Obama now.
Yeah.
And there's been so many questions like throughout the entire this is another thing. What really kind of irritated me is that now there are a lot of people who are saying things like, oh, Obama was such a great president. We see all these things. Oh, Obama, we're going to miss you. And I'm like, well, y'all, the past 8 years, I done seen plenty of conversation about how y'all been upset with Obama. Obama ain't did this for you, this, that, and the third. And there's a whole section of the country who also feels like that administration didn't do much. So when they see someone coming from that administration, they don't want to vote.
Word.
And I think it goes back to when the Democratic Party was like, why did you back this person?
Exactly. Knowing she had a scandal, like that was just dumb. That was just dumb anyway.
Questions. There's too many questions.
That was dumb.
Then 2 days before the election, you guys are gonna say, "Oh, the FBI cleared her." No one cares.
Nobody cares. Like one of my old radio boss, he said the theater of the mind, like perception is reality. I try to tell people all the time. Right. I'm like, you can scream at the top of your lungs that something is true, but once the perception is out there, ain't nothing to change that. That's why it goes back to my clothing line, Boyfriend for a Day, because the perception of me being a slut would never change, and I admit to it, and I said this conversation last night at 3:00 in the morning. I'm like, the more truth you get, the more truth you tell, the more pussy you get. I mean, that's just the truth.
Look at Mike Tech.
Yeah,
that's the Mike Tech I know.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, because as a woman, I'm not catering or I'm not assaulting your intelligence. If I say, "Hey, this is what this is,"
and women are secret. Women are secret tellers. Like we've grown up knowing how to tell secrets and talk to each other and things like that's how we've kind of been, especially in this particular societal frame in America. That's how like a woman's been kind of raised. Yeah. Talk. So the more you talk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something that appeals to a lot of
women.
Yeah,
it goes back to what we talked about in the beginning of the interview about communication and using methods of mass communication to get your message across. Mm-hmm. As like I said last night, I'm like, as a matter of fact, shout out to Trevor from, I forgot his last name, from The Daily Show. He put this shit perfectly.
Trevor Noah?
No, that's my dude. And
it's cool dude.
He it's all about presentation and delivery, especially when it comes to getting your message across. So, for an example, like last night, I gave an example of that. I said, if I rolled up on a girl and said, "Hey, look, I like you. I'm comfortable of being in your friend zone, but if you cross that line, I'm physically attracted to you. We gonna smash." Like, it sounds better than saying, "Hey, bitch, I won't fuck you."
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You're like, yeah, exactly. It is acknowledging the fact that I'm cool with you and I'm respectful of your personal space as a woman.
Right.
If you keep me in the friend zone, I'm good with that. But if you fuck up and slip up and don't think that I A, don't want to fuck you, or B, if you push my button, you're not going to get that dick. And you tripping.
That's straight communication.
Yeah, and now so that girl, and same thing with Trump, now that girl is in her brain knowing that I don't have to second guess what Mike's intention is. And I tell him like all the time, I'm like, it ain't really person's acts, it's that the intent behind the action of what people do. You know what I'm saying? For the people who are not racist who voted for Trump. And I said this the morning he won. I said, now you are attached to being a racist and a bigoted and a homophobe because you supported a candidate that had dialogue suggestive to the fact that can be deemed racist. And because you voted for him, now
it's like you're endorsing that.
Yeah,
you was an endorsement.
Like, look, like the old folks say, sleeping dogs lie together. You know what I'm saying? So, like, now you are now attached to this person. If you openly, first of all, if you openly supported Trump from the beginning, shout out to you, because a lot of people didn't. A lot of people were closeted about the shit.
That's right.
And was speaking one way, but went into the voting booth and voted another way because they were afraid of the perception. And now that the truth is coming out with some people who, on their comments, it's like, Mike, I'm not racist. Why everybody's saying I'm racist? And I had to tell a friend of mine, I'm like, look, regardless of how you felt about Hillary or the politics, he didn't run on politics. He ran on fear. He ran on name calling. Absolutely. He ran on talking shit. So now you have to deal with a president who absolutely has no qualification. Like, the argument for Donald Trump has done something that no other political person ever did. Now it's going to be wide open in 2020. Nobody can never say, I don't have experience to do jack now.
But what's crazy about that is that this is also, though, a concept that's kind of, it's been with America since the beginning. See, we've always hyped up our president. We always have hyped up our president. However, the president always comes with an administration, and we've got 3 branches.
Mm-hmm.
And really, the most effective people are those state senators, those House of Representatives,
Yes.
those justices. And that, to me, that's what's kind of exposing a lot of, is that, hey, this whole time we saw the president as this big coveted, like, oh my God, this
He's
is
just a pawn.
It's the right. But meanwhile, what can son do? And you can see that by the people that Trump is bringing into the administration.
Oh,
and it's clearly,
have you seen it?
It's clearly like, obviously he's not the man. Like, it puts a whole different spin on what people thought it meant to be the president.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you always, even though it was clear as day, you didn't have to have certain qualifications to be the president, as we see this man. But it's always been that way, right?
Yeah.
Those always been the there've never been restrictions on that kind of.
Yeah, now it's amplified to 1,000.
Now it's amplified. Everybody's like, wow, no, we really can do. You really don't have to have these kind of, like, you can be this person and still be the president.
Yeah, I think one of the things that, and we'll get off politics for a moment, and one of the things, because we already at 45 minutes.
Of course.
One of the things about this particular outcome, I look at it as positive. The problem with the Republicans is that it's a three-headed monster between conservative spending and being financially independent versus the evangelical Christians who don't have no argument now, based on that the first lady was, done nude pictures and all that, and the whole nine. And the Green Party, so you have like three different personalities for the Republican Party. And I always said, and I've been telling every person of color I know, shout out to the Latin community and the Asian community and the Native American community, and even the Jewish community. I'm like, now is your time to really get up on your feet and get what you earn, because the stigma, speaking of perception, is that we people of color are the party of the welfare, and we're really not.
Right.
Right. But and the fact of the matter is that if you really polled African Americans and Latinos, as you can clearly see, Latinos voted Republican, they are very more of small government. Let's make this money, you know what I'm saying?
And that's always been, that's why people were so shocked about that.
And that's the problem that I have with the candidates, because they pander to whoever is paying their campaign costs. In this particular case, Trump didn't have those people. So he was really able to say whatever the fuck he wanted to say without having the money pulled away from him. Like, oh, he said that, so I got to take this money away.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like when an athlete loses endorsements because he didn't came out his mouth and said something wrong.
It's like an artist leaving the record label.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like Chance the Rapper. You know what I'm saying? It's
That's
like,
right.
You got the label, labels gunning for him because he's not signed to nobody.
Right.
And he's able to put out his own content and have that content be expressed in the way he wanted to without having to answer to anybody.
See, that's the path, though. If we look at a whole and we look at the trend of the country, now we just see it in our presidency, but a lot of people are moving towards an independent route.
Yes.
And here, in all phases.
Yes, of life, yes.
The only thing that you don't really, and you see it a little bit, is just in terms of, like, with sports, because sports is a huge moneymaker, and sports is really all about its big, like, national leagues and things like that. But I'm telling you, in music, in movies, in politics, people are in all these kind of the small businesses and entrepreneurialistic ways are expanding. Like, the nation is moving towards those kinds of thoughts.
Yeah, and I think that if you have the community, and this is the problem I have with Democrats, is like, if you go into these communities, these impoverished communities, and get to change the mindset of having people want a handout, and saying, look, we are the most talented and creative people on the planet as far as people of melanin color. And I'm not saying not to say people of Caucasian are not, but for the communities who really have been suffering for the last 30 to 40 years since the civil rights movement, the conversation should be hustle. The conversation should be open up your own business. The conversation should be put your money into your own business. Something that blew my mind the other night that I didn't realize is that as far as putting money back into local businesses. Rene Lacoste, I didn't even know he was black. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Right.
he was biracial. His mother was Jamaican.
Right.
You know, and it blew my mind that you have so many people of non-color, you know, put millions upon millions of dollars into that brand, you know, but that's not broadcast. That's not an example. You got to do your research. You got to dig to figure out, you know, not everybody's going to be Damon from FUBU, you know what I'm saying? But I think that Democrats really hold down the people of color. Like, we got you. Don't work on your own. We're gonna give it all to you. And this is why Hillary lost. Mm-hmm. This is why Trump won. Mm-hmm. For people just political aside, it is. They always want this and they always want that. They don't want to work out and things like that. And black and brown people built this country from the ground up. Black, brown, yellow on the West Coast, the Asians, and obviously the Native Americans that had it completely stolen from them. So, and before that, their empires, you know, built the foundation for North America, the continent, and not the United States. So that concept of minorities that don't want to vote and lazy is the real. It was the meat behind the fluff of all the racism that came along with that, you know, and goes back to what we was talking about as far as drop the mic and what am I doing and, you know, having different streams of revenue. And it goes back to just hustling. Yeah. You know, it goes back to doing things that you love to do. That's right. And how's that going to help you support a living? Now, if you're one of those, you know, Cree Summer, different world types that just want to live off the earth and be, you know, spiritual, that's cool. Right. But I don't live in that world. I live in a world of practicality. Mm-hmm. You know, and I always tell people who are in deep religious faith, you can't bring Jesus to SNG. You can't bring Jesus to Time Warner, Comcast, or your finance car company. They don't want to hear that shit. They want to see money.
They want to see what's up.
You know what I'm saying? They want to see collateral. So if you are playing in the Matrix, as I like to always say, you got to learn the rules of the Matrix. Right. You know, and that's basically the whole concept about my whole, you know, message.
Yeah.
So
you've got to know your brand and know what pathway you're supposed to take.
And everybody's a brand. I mean, the game's changed now.
That's right.
You know, and you know, talk about sports. The difference between now and watching sports 30 years ago is that everybody is a commentator. That the biggest thing about Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and Snapchat, everybody, you can hear everybody's voice. It goes back to what you were saying a little while ago about friends. I mean, if you didn't like break bread with these people, hang out with these people, know their family, their mothers, their kids, you really don't know people. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
You know, so when you start, you know, people start voicing these opinions and shit, and you're like, who the fuck? Because you, like you said, you really don't know them. Right. But, I mean, everybody now is an armchair quarterback. Everybody can sit on their couch now and say something, and it goes viral.
And because guess what? Other people sitting in their couches want to watch them say it.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first law in media ethics class in college. Like, if it bleeds, it leads. And everybody's like, oh my God, like I can't, you know, publications like World Star Hip Hop, like I can't believe them. Like, why you think they're the #1 website? You know what I'm saying?
It's smart. Man.
Yeah, brilliant. You know what I'm saying? Right. You are making money off of people's ignorance. Matter of fact, it's not even your content. You just set up the platform so people can upload their content
because they want to. And I think that's a concept people don't grab. Grab a hold to. Why did Donald Trump win? Because people wanted him to. Yeah. You do realize this, right? That people wanted to. Like they wanted him to win. Yeah. And that's how that happened.
They want a voice, you know.
They want a voice.
Yeah, and a lot of people can't do what we do and get up on the mic and say openly what we want to say. Yeah. You know, a lot of people only have these conversations in closed rooms with just immediate family members, but don't have the balls to say it out loud. Right. Or they can hide behind their keyboards or their smartphones because you're really not meeting these people in everyday life. Right. You know, I got like 2,000 Facebook friends, and I probably only really hang out with maybe 5 of them. Right. Outside of me being a DJ and me seeing them in public.
It's a network. It's a network and that's why I said that the word friend and words are so important in our lives because we've grown up this whole time when you learned about friends, when you learned about friendship, there you people that were next to you that you had conversation with, and now you look. What sense does it make that you've got friends and you also have like followers, and those things kind of like mesh together to mean the same thing? But that's not what that's supposed. That's not what it's completely switching up how we see these two words, and it's messing people up because here they are struggling with the concept that they've learned about friends and not relating it to the concept of what friend means now. Like that word is changing. It's a very different meaning now.
In the dating world, and I had to, because we just had this conversation the other day, when I'm dating, it's kind of like you have to understand that I'm a personality and that my job is to get women on the floor, and so there's a difference between girls who like me and who follow me. You talk about followers, and I always say they're fans, and people go, "Oh, you think you big time?" I'm like, no, I don't say that because I think that I'm like David Guetta or DJ Khaled, and I'm like, I got fans, but that's what they are. I have people who really legitimately come to the club to see me that are not my personal friends, but are friends with me. And that's why I use the word fans. That's or followers. And I'm like, shout out to all my fans, who support me. Because again, this election showed that you have friends that completely think 180 of you, but will come support you in the club. And come hang out, and I'm spinning and people dance and have a good time and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
I think that was a very an excellent example of what you meant about word association.
Yeah, it's
crazy. What I'm saying? And I mean, even shout out to Facebook though, because they clearly, I remember when Facebook first started, it was friends, and then you have that option to just follow somebody.
That's right.
And not, unfollow them, but still be friends. And I've done a lot of unfollowing.
That's right.
If I see you, we cool. Your message, your status may occasionally pop up on my timeline.
To acquaintance at that time.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. And Facebook did it. Like somebody had this conversation we having now. Like, all these motherfuckers that really ain't friends. So let's break these down in categories. And they did it. Like,
they did.
Yeah, you not a 5. I think it's 5-star. I'm like, or the friend, like they're like, yeah, you 5-star, and girls be mad. They're like, I don't see nothing on your page. And I'm like, because you're an acquaintance. You know what I'm saying? Like you see like DJ Mike tech stuff, or you don't see Michael Bowman stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy.
And that's the reason why when it comes to that concept of friends, like just using Facebook for instance, people use communication to construct what your world is. That's what social construction is. You know, like that. I mean, they're using these things to construct the perception so that you'll believe that, like that you'll say, oh no, this is what life is. But it's not real. Like you perceived that. It's perfect with Donald Trump becoming the president-elect.
Yeah,
you may have perceived that. Like Dave Chappelle did a great skit when he was like, he's sitting around and his friends.
Oh yeah, with Chris Rock. Yeah. I loved that. Loved it.
Trump isn't going to win because this and the third. And Dave Chappelle's like, okay, yeah. It's like, oh, America won't let this happen. It's like, sure. And then these are things that are real. You perceive that we're not in this kind of position where people feel this way and they have these kinds of feelings and things like that. And you perceive that friends means that you know everything about the people that you're like Facebook friends with, but you don't. And like, Facebook is not even. Is Facebook even 10 years old?
Almost.
So it's like barely.
Well, no, yeah, right at 2005.
And we've let a 10-year-old project dictate what words mean to us now.
Yeah,
that is completely crazy. That's the power of communication, though. That's the power of the manipulation and the perception, and that's.
Yeah, but they use the number one rule of all social construct. I mean, you again going back to them old Southern proverbs that you get from the old slavery days. I mean, you are who you hang around. You know what I'm saying? Absolutely. Like, it just. My mother always kills me with this line back in high school. Used to get on my fucking nerves. She was like, association brings on a simulation. So it is like I said, sleeping dogs lie together. So it's like Facebook created this construct of people, this mass communication of people who not necessarily wouldn't have it prior.
Right.
And I was laughing, joking. I'm like, I wonder how people socialized pre-social media.
Yeah.
When I watch old movies
Right.
and things like that, and people like going
Meet
around
up at
and
the
moving.
mall.
Yeah,
That's right.
you know what I'm saying? I'm like, damn, man, you got to think. Like, you wasn't in constant communication with somebody, so you literally had to make plans and Rolodexes. And that's
right.
why the people that in their 40s and 50s always look at our younger generation as retarded, and I always flip it back on them. Like, y'all motherfuckers would have been doing the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of them do the same thing. I say this all the time. When I'm Ubering or something like
Yeah.
that, and I'm picking people up, the majority of my riders are older people. Older people. They are the main ones using the technology.
Yeah.
Like they've got, of course, you've got like your younger, the younger demographics that are, they're very much in tune. Like they can pick up,
Yeah.
like, okay, this is the trend. But you get, some of y'all grandmas have a Facebook page.
Yeah.
And she's liking every single one of your pictures, or she tagging herself, and my grandma tags herself in every single picture of my nephew possible.
My mom got Snapchat.
You know
I'm like, I'm looking at him like, mom snapped me. I'm like, what the, you know what I'm saying? Like,
they're using the technology too.
Yeah, it's kind of like, shout out to Gary V. Gary,
Vaynerchuk.
that's my dude. Like, and he said, and to go back to what we talked about in the beginning about building brands, I'm like, we are fortunate enough to live in a world now that you do not really need anybody.
Yeah, Vaynerchuk talks about that.
You know, to build your own company, your own brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are tools available. You know, to the point where me and Melanic had this conversation on Drop the Mic that college is almost now obsolete. It literally is, unless you just go for the social experiment of going to college or playing football or a band or a sport thing like that. Because everything everything you learn now, you can learn on that piece of equipment right there. You can go to Lynda or you can go to YouTube and literally study everything that you want to do. And we talked about this earlier. Trump has now changed the game completely. What it meant to have experience and having some type of background in that particular field. And the funniest meme I've seen is people saying I had to, you know, spend all this money and get a master's degree to get a job and all that. That all the person did was talk his way into it. That is what it is. I mean, half the people who get hired sell themselves and not their ability or their expectation. I mean,
but see that's another thing too, though, and that's that line. See that I hear that all the time. Like, we can teach her. You know, we've got technology, we teach ourselves. However, who's truly teaching themselves? Only the people who take initiative.
Yeah.
It is
goes back to that passion.
If you're lazy, you can have a computer all day.
Yeah.
If you just want to watch cat videos, that's what you're gonna do for the whole day. It doesn't matter that at your fingertips you could discover like where cats came from and the evolution of cats and all that kind of stuff. You're not doing that. And that's the thing. Like, people say it is true. You do have access.
Yeah.
But as we start to see, just because this report said, the number of students using marijuana has gone down, but there's a heroin epidemic. Why? Because there's this fascination with the things that, when given access to it, you're just like, oh, okay. Marijuana is quickly on the rise. Soon marijuana will be very much legal recreationally all across the country. And
South Carolina may be last.
You know what I'm saying? Of course. But it's just like this granting access, you know, to the masses, that you have garnered a certain perception. You've created a certain perception for them to believe. You can give them access all day long, and they still, a lot of them will not go for it. It's a certain type of self-initiation, that self-starter, you know, and not everybody is that.
Yeah, and it goes back to the way I think. I got daughters, and it's kind of like, you know, when my mom was a preacher, even when she was an evangelist, she always gave it to me 100. She was like, you want to have sex? This is what this is about. You want to drink? This is what this is about. Like,
right.
So you don't have, and people are like, oh, no, even though that's the wrong way to parent. I'm like, look, you're always going to have more questions than answers. That's just life. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have this innate ability in you. When somebody tells you not to do something or you can't do something, you want to do it anyway.
Yeah.
You know, that's just that natural reactive theory that people say when they say you can't do something, you won't do it. You know, and I think, again, going back to Trump, I think that was another thing that fueled him. You know what I'm saying? That you can't. I said that 6 months ago. I was like, y'all fuck around, he gonna win for real, because he's just keeping it 100 and he's not playing by the rules. And that's what I was telling Melissa the other day. I'm like, You know, those people who play by the rules, they don't. If you haven't learned anything about business in this life, is that people who have, there's a certain way of ethics you can have for your own independent view if you can't sleep at night, but the rest of the world don't play like that. You know what I'm saying? Like T.I. say all the time, and this shit is, I mean, oh, not T.I., but it's Denzel. I mean, it's just chess, not checkers. You know what I'm saying? And I think that a lot of people lose grasp of what's really going on in the world and how do you get there. Let's go back to what you said a second ago about people having all this access and not having the passion to do it. We live in a microwave society. We live in an era of drive-through food. We live in an era of instant TV. We live in an era of instant everything. So why wouldn't that person only want to be a graphic design artist for a week? Because after a week of classes, they're like, you know, watching cat videos because they don't necessarily have the passion to do it. And that's why I tell people, I'm like, look, like, fuck around. Do stuff that you think you like. And I was telling my homegirl who just cannot pick up a date to save her life. And I'm like, dude, like, this whole concept of waiting for, this whole Disney princess of waiting for Prince Charming to come through in his Dodge SRT, you know what I'm saying, with 26s and shit. SRT. Yeah, like, for real. Like, that's just not happening, G. Like, you gotta go out and date and find out what you like and what you don't like. You know, trial and error. You know, and then once you figure out what you like, then you got to put your resources into it. But it goes back to what we said in the beginning of the interview. The two people, the people who can and the people who can't. Yeah. You know, and those people that can't just ain't gonna be able to do it. You know what I'm saying? So.
Well, I tell you what, I know that as you know, as we conclude this interview, there's been a lot that we know that Mike Tech can do, and will do, and will continue to.
I'm a hustler, homie.
Yeah, I'm real glad to see the things that you got going on. I'm glad to see the web series. The web series that you're about to have come up, and like I said, you've been hustling weddings, parties, and all kinds of things. Like, so more power to you, man. I really appreciate it. How can the people find you? How can they book you?
Well, you can now leave reviews, DJ Mike Tech, on Yelp and on Facebook, but it's DJ Mike Tech, DJ MIKETECH on Facebook, Yelp, Snapchat, and then DJ Mike Tech, the number 4 life on Instagram and Twitter, and that's how you get to me. Also, I got to plug my album. Shout out to the Return of the Sender album that's coming out at the top of the year. The song Dance Like Ellen is going to be the single.
That sounds like a hit.
Yeah, Dance Like Ellen. Yeah, and Shot Down, you know, the 2 records that we working on right now. It is a very Bruno Mars eclectic type of album. So if that's trap is your thing, it's not. It's dance and a lot of reggae, a reggaeton theme music. So shout out to Sean Dobie who convinced me to do a DJ Khaled type record. You know what I'm saying? Awesome. So that's what we got going on.
Well, I'm excited. Once again, I thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who has listened. Make sure that you subscribe to the Time TNL YouTube channel. That's where we have more interviews. Shout out to the team that was not able to be here this morning for this interview, but it's all good. We got love for them. And once again, this has been Time TNL. I've been your host, VP, and we are powered by Do Work Media. Until next time, keep it classy, Charleston.
Holla.